Hey all, how you doing today? I'm coming to you from a children's wing nursery in our church. And the reason I'm doing that today is it seems appropriate given the lesson or the life lesson that I wanted to look at from the life of Jesus. If you've been following along on these video blogs, I've spent the last few weeks talking about life lessons from Jesus. By just watching how he lived his life, what are some of the things that we can learn that we might want to emulate in our own lives? This particular event, if you are a church person, this particular event in Jesus' life is quite well known. It made an impression on the disciples because it was recorded by Matthew, Mark, and Luke. And the story is that Jesus is going about his business, and some parents bring their kids to Jesus. And the disciples, who know that Jesus has important things to do, there's lots of stuff going on, begin to rebuke the parents and kind of push them away. And Jesus gets angry. And he gets angry with the disciples and says, "Don't you dare. You let those kids come to me." And he takes some time with them. He puts them on his lap. He blesses them. He interacts with those kids. And then ends up using it as an object lesson for his disciples. What's interesting to me is when this happens. Because Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, where he is going to be killed, crucified, fulfill the entire mission of his life. It's only a couple weeks away, and yet he takes the time in the midst of all the busyness and craziness and all the burdens on his mind and heart to interact with kids. So what's the life principle? And I could say it a couple of different ways. One is live a life slow enough to notice children. Or maybe if you're more of a visual person, is to, as you go through your life, look down a little more often. See, we have a tendency to get so hung up or so focused on the things that we're doing, the things that are important, the places we want to go, the things we have to accomplish, the tasks that need to be done, that we miss those that are sitting on the periphery, the ones who are kind of on the edges, who aren't necessarily the ones we would notice because they don't really bring a whole lot to the table. They're not going to help us accomplish anything. They don't take us where we need to go. And so we just kind of blow right past them without any thought. And yet, if we were to lower our gaze or slow down enough to interact, it might change things. This is hard enough even in our own families, let alone with other people. I mean, we do this all the time. We get so busy, we're with our kids, but we're taking phone calls from work the entire time with our kids. Or we're watching a TV program and so we don't listen to the story that they want to tell us. We're being at the church another night out, or we're another night working at the job, and so we end up missing things that we have a chance to interact with them. And yet in those interactions, we have a chance to bless, to impact, to invest in, or simply to love those who often are ignored in our culture. In Jesus' culture, children were way lower on the food chain than they are today, and yet Jesus still took the time to interact with them. So I wonder, as we go through our busy lives and our busy work days and the things that we do that are so important, and they're valuable, they do matter, what would happen if we lived a life at a pace that allowed us to notice children or those like them in our lives? That we lowered our gaze and paid attention. We might find that we are a blessing to others in a way we've never thought. And here's the surprise, is that when you do this and when you live this way, you'll end up being blessed in ways that you never thought you would be. So, live a life slow enough this week to notice children. Till next time.